We are back here at the NRA's National Firearms Museum. I'm here with Phil Schreier. He's the senior curator here at the museum, and he's the guy with the keys to the kingdom here. And we love to come out here for Curator's Corner and just turn you loose, Phil. And every time you come out here, right off camera is your cart, and you're always full of wonderful treasures for us to see here at the museum. So what do you have for us for this installment of the Curator's Corner, sir?
Well, John, I've got an absolutely spectacular example of what a lot of people call the gun that won the West. It is the Winchester 73. You know, there are only a handful of movies that have been made where the actual make and model of a gun is the title of the movie. And what a great film with Jimmy Stewart and Dan Duryea.
I could say it's pretty impressive when you're naming a movie after the model of a gun.
That's right.
That's serious business there.
And you know, that movie is, we haven't talked about Winchester 73 in our Hollywood Guns collection because we don't actually have one of the guns from that film. But what a great film. It tells a story about the Winchester 101,000s, and you know, it's a real neat historical perspective.
Absolutely.
But we've got a gun that, well, if you put it up against a Winchester 101,000, it'll stand pretty tall. It's a very interesting model of 73. You know, when they talk about the gun that won the West, you know, they made nearly 750,000 of these rifles between 1817 and 1919. All the way through the end of World War I, they were making this. And this piece has got a lot of the extras that you could order from the factory.
A lot of bells and whistles.
A lot of bells and whistles. First off, the wood. I mean, the wood is just
beautiful,
unbelievably gorgeous. Hand checkered on the wrist and the forearm here. You know, one thing that stands out. You know, you see a gun in the bright like this, and a lot of people sometimes mistake that for nickel, which is the most common. Some have been chromed, which you would see in drill teams and stuff like that. This is very rare. This is silver plated.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not a thin coat of silver because it's still pretty thick and brilliant on this gun.
Jeez.
And it's a beautiful silver-plated Winchester. It's also engraved in the L.D. Nimsky style from that time period. It's got just beautiful engraving, and the vernier rear sight here is also another factory special order. So just this
one came pretty well loaded from the factory.
It did,
yeah.
And I need to do a lot more research on it to find out about the engraving and the meaning of the initials and the date on the gun. A beautiful example of what you could order from the Winchester factory and get added to the just regular run-of-the-mill off-the-shelf 73.
And the neat thing about a firearm like this is, you know, when you ordered it, it was beautiful but functional too. I mean, it's a great. I mean, it's not something that was made. Now it's sitting on the shelf here at the Firearms Museum, but it's earned that place. But it was something made that people took out and used, and it was a beautiful firearm. But also with the sights and the ways firearms put together, a gun that's made to be used.
You know, a lot of people say if they could only get their gun to talk, and we've had a lot of conversations about how to make your gun talk. But for me, a gun that shows some wear, some use, has character.
Yeah.
If we ever got to a point where we could make them talk, it'd have something to say.
Yes.
You know, there is a lot to be said for collecting, you know, mint examples of unfired guns. But for me, I tend to personally like guns that have a story that go along with them.
And I like when you're showing off the wood. You can even tell it's beautiful wood, but it's got some stories to tell. You know, it's been out there, it's been used, but it's still. Wow, what a fine piece that is. Really nice. How can folks come and see that and the many other, well, if you come quiet enough, you can actually, if you listen to Guns Do Talk to you when you're in the hall. Maybe it was just me, but
yeah,
I've heard a few
I'm
stories.
sure about that. I hear them too. Well, John, you can come visit our Winchester collection and the other nearly 3,000 firearms that are on public display here at the National Firearms Museum at the NRA headquarters. It's open 7 days a week from 9:30 to 5. Free admission, plenty of parking. If you're going to drive, we're located right at the intersection of US 50 and Route 66 off the interstate in Fairfax, Virginia. If you can't visit us off the interstate, come by and visit us on the internet. That's 24 hours a day at nramuseum.com.
Phil, thank you once again for a great installment here of the Curator's Corner.
And thank you, John.